Dragon Ball Super episode 86 is now officially in the history books as we get ever so closer to the beginning of the Tournament of Power, and joining me today to tackle Dragon Ball Super episode 87 is my good friend Emosh the Daishinkan, as we share our thoughts and predictions as to what's going to happen in next week's episode. And again, if your opinions differ than ours, or if you guys have anything to add on to this, you guys can simply go on ahead and let us know in the comments as to what you guys believe is going to happen in next week's episode. Emosh, welcome back to the channel. You just got done watching the episode. So did I, and I think we can both agree on certain things. Now, there is one thing that I think that later on we're going to talk about, that being Super Saiyan Blue, and how much I think the form has been heavily overused in an essence, to where everyone's able to contend against the god now. But looking at what happened in episode 86, and seeing what's going to happen next week with Goku and 17 having to work together. Of course, for those who were unaware about the spoilers, we do understand that they're going to be working together to fight off a common enemy, that being those aliens that we saw in the episode preview. So I wanted to get your quick thoughts as to 17 versus Goku and what we saw in terms of Goku having to compete with 17 in his base Super Saiyan form first, and then having to fight him in a Super Saiyan Blue form. What did you think of that whole battle? I mean, just coming from your point of view, of course.
All right, so what's up, everybody? And as always, thank you so much for having me on.
No problem. Man.
So first off, I texted you how I felt. 17 is
you loved it, man.
17 is a fucking boss.
He is.
Like,
he is.
The fight was believable, man. Like this episode was a lot more than I expected it to be, and it made me happy. Like I enjoyed it, and which isn't a surprise. I mean, there are episodes that I enjoy. It's just at this stage of Dragon Ball Super, things do feel kind of stale, and I think that's partially because of all the information that we've been getting regarding the spoilers, right? There's really not much going on in the episodes until the actual Tournament of Power starts. But for 17's actual reintroduction, I think they did it right, man. I think they reintroduced him properly. I love it.
I think his attitude, did you not see when Goku talked about him being erased? He was like, I don't care. It was great. It was great. But the only nitpick I would say was the Super Saiyan Blue fight. But moving aside from that, I loved the Super Saiyan 1 Goku versus 17 fight, because not only was it believable that 17 not only had the upper hand, but you know, for the moment being, it kind of brought you back to the whole, what if Goku did fight 17 during that era when Dragon Ball Z was around? And ironically enough, 17 even admitted towards the end of the episode, he was like, I'm not sure if I would have won or lost, and Goku's like, I don't know. But you know, what did you think of that whole fight before Goku became a Super Saiyan Blue? Like, did it bring you back to like when you were a kid?
Definitely. I think they did a great job in this episode, not just with the whole fight sequence,
right?
But I think, and the reintroduction of 17, of course, but I think they pretty much answered any questions that we might have had after watching this episode, right? I think all of them were answered in this episode. So for example, 17, he admitted to most likely having to have lost the fight if Goku and 17 had fought back in the day. And Goku, he's very, he's very like, well, what if, or maybe not, you know what I'm saying? Which is great. But at the same time, dude, and I gotta disagree with the whole concept of maybe him being able to compete with the Super Saiyan Blue. At this point of Dragon Ball Super, it's really not that much of a surprise, I would say. And I'm not saying you're wrong. There is a part of me that agrees with what you're saying, because I feel very similar to the way you feel. But I think, and you guys can let me know in the comments if you agree with me or disagree with me, that I think what kind of took away from 17 being able to compete with Goku at Super Saiyan Blue was the fact that Krillin just did it a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
and I'm not, and again, I'm not trying to bash him. I'm just saying in general that they're showing us different ways that these people that these Team Universe 7 fighters can actually compete with Goku at a maybe at a 50% Super Saiyan Blue form, whatever percentage he was using. Obviously, we know Goku at maximum power is with the Kaioken, right? But they even answered it. Another question that we could have had was, well, what if they fall full power? And they both admitted to holding back even after Goku went Super Saiyan Blue.
Of course,
and then
of course.
17 was still keeping up with him, which I gotta say, at this point with 17 being able to actually match Goku at this in this episode, power for power, it's believable. Like the way they did it, it looked very believable, and I'm loving it, man. 17, I'm glad they reintroduced him properly, man.
No, 17 is a monster. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that going into the tournament, he's going to be a lot more cunning than his sister, especially if he's been keeping up and not being on his ass, as he said. The only difference is, and a lot of you guys, I've been getting into it, like in the comments and my breakdown review, because of this sole idea. People are saying, well, Goku was holding back. Correct. Goku was holding back a lot, but the concept of Goku having to battle against gods and train with angels and having to fight entities like Hit and Goku Black and Merge Zamasu and Golden Frieza, and seeing those people that I feel were like believable in competing with Super Saiyan Blue Goku, having to look at what 17 has been doing here on Earth, there is no comparison that 17's training, whatever it is he did, can stand up against what Goku's been doing with Whis and Vegeta. He's been training with Vegeta, bro, for how many years in the time chamber and stuff? It was insane. So it kind of rubbed me the wrong way to see Super Saiyan Blue be used as like the default Super Saiyan form back in Dragon Ball Z. Although
yeah,
I love the fight.
Now.
Like I love the fight. Don't get me wrong. I'm not shitting on 17. I love 17, and I think that, as you said, it made it believable because 17 just didn't really care. He even told Goku, he was like, let's just stop because we're going to destroy the islands and whatever. And Goku was like, oh, it's just a shame that we have to stop and whatever. But, and that's when they went into the whole thing like, oh, I wonder how I would fare up if I fought you back in the day, whatever. And I thought that was pretty cool. But the only thing is, if this is the standard of Dragon Ball Super, then you can only imagine what Goku's going to be hiding or at least unleashing during this tournament because, God, it's just like he's using it so casually now, and I don't disagree with that, but after having to see them fight against each other, now they're going to be working together. So, in your opinion, like, what do you expect to see in next week's episode? Because I'm getting that whole Wada Gosh feel kind of thing, like when we saw when Gohan fought him. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, what are your thoughts on them having to, you know, come across an enemy that's going to be invading Earth and possibly threatening his island and stuff? Like what are your overall expectations for next week's episode?
Well, it's safe to say that recruiting certain members of this team is not going to be easy, and obviously they need to create some kind of episodes that buys them time until the actual Tournament of Power starts, right? So it kind of gets everybody ready. It gets everybody nice and, you know, they're simmering in the juices of hype, right? So that's what this is about. Obviously, based on the previews, because I saw that too, it's pretty apparent they're going to work together as a team. I imagine 17 is going to appreciate that what Goku has done for him and will actually help him. Granted that, just like you know, you mentioned, you know, that 17 didn't really care about getting erased so long as everyone got erased together. And, you know, there's nothing you can do about that, right? So, and he does have a point, but it's kind of interesting to see that why he views it that way, right? That, oh, as long as we get erased together, then I suppose it's all right. I mean, then what exactly are you really fighting for at this point? I mean, don't get me wrong. Everybody knows death is inevitable. All good things, everything has to come to an end someday. And I appreciate his character's understanding of that, which kind of makes him more of a badass. You know, like I've always told you, his swag, his nature, just the way he, you know, just carries on with himself. It's great. But at the same time, it's kind of like, well, you know, it's like, well, then what is your purpose? Are you satisfied? Are you happy? You have a family? Wouldn't you like to spend more time with your family? Wouldn't you like to spend more time doing what you do, doing what you love to do, protecting this island stuff?
I think he made that, you know, perfectly clear as he told Goku, because once Goku said you'll be erased, he kind of stopped and he was like, well, I don't care about me, but, you know, I care about others, you know, stuff like that. So, you know, I think that, and what I loved is how he tried to bribe him with money, and he just turned that down. And it's crazy how 18 is the opposite, like she's money hungry for that. And it was pretty cool to see how he doesn't just care about money or just having to be erased or some sort of a prize. He just wants to compete to protect not just the forest, but, you know, life that he cherishes. And it's pretty crazy, man, because back in Dragon Ball Z, the evolution of his character right now, like, he didn't care about life, and now he's just like, yo, chill. Like, even when he kicked Goku into the forest, the first thing he said was, oh no, the forest, and Goku stopped him. He was like, oh shit. It was great. But I'm not too sold on this idea of them fighting this alien dude, because it just seems kind of weird to me that these aliens are just showing up just to do whatever. Or maybe, and this might be a little far-fetched, but maybe... Well, they're
hunting the Minotaurus.
Right. And I was gonna say, maybe that's gonna, you know, kind of like wake up Vegeta and because we see him in the episode preview as well. Like, he's there and he seems angry, maybe because he notices
maybe someone slipped. Well, maybe someone slipped with the
either that, or maybe he's noticing that Kakarot's power has truly, you know, one-upped him, I guess, because the last time Goku left off and he told Vegeta, like, hey, don't be mad when I surpass you. And Vegeta's like, yeah, good luck with that. Maybe he came to the realization like, damn, Kakarot's been doing some training. Because remember, we got 31 hours to go. So it's winding down. In terms of, well, there's one thing I do want to ask you. In terms of Beerus, right? We see how he's sleeping and all of a sudden he just wakes up. Do you think that he has a vision or some sort of a dream that he sees while he wakes up, in which results in him waking up being shocked? Or do you think it's just nothing? Because I have a feeling that maybe he foresees something that's kind of like, that kind of spooked him, and he just wakes up to that. Or like what are your thoughts on that whole thing? Because I thought the whole Beerus thing, when he was there eating all that food, because he was like, oh, I just don't want to get erased, so I'm just gonna eat, I'm gonna go pig all out, whatever. I thought that was great. But like, do you think that there's any reason for him being there, just eating, or just that's just nothing to you?
No, definitely. Like his facial expression, it practically, he looked terrified. Like he looked like he saw something that was actually literally jaw dropping, and you could see it in his face.
Yeah.
It looked like either something was said to him, or something he dreamt something, and he was just like so shocked. And what's amazing about that is that he's an Akaishin, so for him to have some kind of premonition, for example, like he did with the original Battle of Gods arc, right? To that extent, something that would not make him interested, like excited, but something that would make him almost scared, borderline scared, is very interesting. Perhaps, maybe, but I agree with you. I think maybe he sees something regarding the angels, maybe regarding the erasing of all the universes. Maybe something's gonna happen. But it was a preview, so maybe they're just trolling us. Maybe it's just something else. Maybe, you know, it could be that too, because spoilers and the previews do have a habit of doing that to us.
Right.
And then when we actually see that scene, it's like, oh, so that's what the scene was, right? So, but I definitely agree with you. I think I've never seen Beerus actually show that kind of a facial expression before.
Aside from seeing the Omni King, of course.
Right, but like besides general stuff, right? But that looked like he was like in a state of fear, and the Omni King was nowhere to be found unless he dreamt something or foresaw something. But I agree with you.
Now, going into next week's episode, we actually learned a bit, you know, during this episode about foreseeable future possible things happening later on down the road.
Yes.
One thing I do want to, we spoke about this in text. Oob was finally, well, he wasn't finally mentioned, because he was, and this is weird, he was mentioned during the Universe 6 versus Universe 7 gathering when Goku, Vegeta, and Piccolo were all together, and they spoke about this kid that was around and whatever, but Vegeta said that no, at this point, judging how old he is, he's a very young kid, so we can't bring him along, which is why they got Monaka. But it's ironic that so far in Dragon Ball Super, during 2 arcs that happen to involve tournaments, we hear of Oob. What are your thoughts on Dende finally bringing it up and explaining to Goku, like, yo, there is this seriously strong kid here. He's not even aware of his own strength, but it's evil Majin Buu reincarnated. You should go ahead and train him. And it's weird because Goku said, I'm not the type of guy to do that. But I'm pretty sure in Dragon Ball Z, he was always the one that, you know, kind of offer help in that. So, like, what do you see here? Do you see a possible arc brewing or possible story brewing that is going to involve us going into meeting Oob next in the next arc or something like that? Even though it's a little far-fetched to think that way, because we don't know what's going to happen that far in. But what did you think of that?
Dude, totally unexpected. Totally unexpected.
Very. Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree, very.
Because when I saw it, I was like, I texted you immediately while I was watching the episode, actually. Like, the minute I saw it, I was like, dude, Kid Buu. I was like, yo, Oob, they finally mentioned him. So, to everybody and their mother who's been asking about what could potentially happen after the Tournament of Power, it's pretty much now set in stone. That not that Universe 7 will win, but obviously they're gonna survive, and that I don't think it will be an arc, but more so of a side story, kind of like what's going on right now, right? And they'll finally introduce Oob, but the way they did it, you know, in Dragon Ball Z, and then going into GT and stuff like that, was they kind of ended it with Goku leaving everybody to go and train with him to his village. But right now, what's happening is that they're actually, you know what I'm saying, they kind of switched the story a bit. So I don't think that would be the end of Super again. I don't think they would end this series the same way they ended Dragon Ball Z, which would be kind of crazy. So I think they're gonna make some slight changes here and there, introduce a backstory to it, and then perhaps give someone else some kind of shine. Because if Goku is leaving, let's say Goku does leave again theoretically, right, to train with him and stuff like that. Unless they do some kind of time skip or something like that, and then focus on the backstory of other characters. Let's say, for example, Goku leaves with Oob to train Oob. Vegeta goes to Planet Sadala in Universe 6 with Kaba. You know, all of these things are possibilities, and all of these things are very likely scenarios that I could see happening, especially after an arc this huge, right? So it's going to be very interesting. Definitely excited, and I'm glad they finally mentioned him. Oh man, ooh, it's like where do we put our fingers now? You know, obviously, we're looking forward to the tournament, but now it's like, oh fuck, they mentioned Oob. Damn, and 17's such a badass. That's why I love this episode.
The difference in his character, because anyone who's seen the movie with Future Trunks, and anyone who's seen 17 back in the day, he was one of those like cocky little like pricks that you just want to slap, because he was just so like, he was always the one pressuring everyone to finding Goku and stuff, like, you know, and to see him now so calm, cool, and relaxed, and to see him nonchalant, it was great.
You know what 17 reminds me of now in Super? He reminds me of Super 17, like the whole shield thing.
Oh man, all right, I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but that was something that I just don't feel like was logical, because power scaling, man, I don't care who you are in this community, like just power scaling is just so off right now. Please explain to me. Like, maybe you have the answer. I don't know. How is it possible for him to not just hold that Kamehameha back, despite how far Goku has been holding back? How in the world did he hold that Kamehameha back and manage to burst right through and even attack Goku right after? It's just like, how? Like, I mean, what kind of who trained this guy?
Dude, man. It's like Popo said. Goku's been too busy focusing on space that he hasn't been, and he hasn't been focusing at what's happened as to what's been going on here.
But come on,
but
bro.
Obviously, yes. No. I agree with you. They are kind of forcing it on us, but I will take this over the whole incident with Krillin, because but it's not. No, but the hate aside, that should not have happened. Like the Kamehameha clash, yes, it was nice choreography.
No, we all agreed on that. Right? Everyone was scratching their heads like, what?
But and I think seeing that first and then seeing this made it very sour for you, and even for me, and for a lot of other people as well. That's what makes this hard to swallow. But if you look at it, if 17 is this strong, and they're not even going all out yet.
And he is pretty strong, folks.
Who we all thought, everybody was saying it, that listen, 17 is going to be a major factor, but not that. You know, nobody really looked at him and was going to be like, oh my God, 17 is going to be such a huge factor in this tournament. Dude, the hype for him is real. It's real now.
I'm going through my comments right now and just seeing people saying comments like, why didn't Goku just turn Super Saiyan 2 instead of Blue? He battled Future Trunks in those forms before unleashing a higher power. How come the same wasn't done here? And I agree.
Well,
it's, you know,
the way they introduced the androids was they were originally designed to be stronger than Future Trunks anyway.
Of course, yes.
Despite what happened with Future Trunks, everything, like I said, all the questions that we have now were practically answered in this episode. So when anybody brings up Future Trunks, why would you do that if they already dismissed him as a whole?
But the point is, when he came across Trunks, he could have easily done the same thing and used Super Saiyan Blue, but instead he went stage by stage, 2, 3, and then, you know, further on to demonstrate the Trunks. And of course, a similar argument can be made here as to why he couldn't just do the same thing. My guess is that he wants to show every individual that's going to be a part of the team, like, yo, listen, you're going to fight guys equivalent to me, if not stronger, so get ready. That's the only reason, that's the only logical thing I can come up with, aside from Goku wanting to really pound someone's face in that form, especially his friends, which I really doubt. But, you know, looking at Goku's base level now in Super, he's really strong, right? Like, that should have been enough to compete with 17 after everything Goku has gone through. But
you gotta look at it this way.
God form.
No, I hear you, but you gotta look at it this way. We're being given more indications, clear indications now more than ever, especially as we enter the tournament that they're gonna introduce something new regarding Goku, because they're forcing it. Like they're really telling us, okay, guys, get fed up with Blue because we have something new coming for you, which is fine. I mean, it's not like it's a bad thing, you know. But 17 for him, dude. I mean, and he's not even one of my favorite characters, but they did it so well, man. And I really, normally I would sit here and we could debate it and we could say, yeah, you know, I agree with you what you're saying, and I do. Trust me, Alex, I do.
Right.
But at the same time, we can't deny that they gave 17 the justice that he needed, right? So it's not like and he was never really known to be this powerful. So the fact that he was able to grow this much, man, is a very big deal. And I'm excited, bro. I just
too,
hope
like
he doesn't get knocked out that easily. That's all I'm saying.
I think he might outlast his sister, honestly. If this is like the level and power like he's been growing at, I think that I'm comfortable enough in saying that I think he can hold his own. Maybe not too long. It's kind of dumb to say like, oh yeah, he can compete against, you know, Hit now and shit like that. No, absolutely not. But I think that he's strong enough to hold his own against people like Kaba and Frost. Like I would love to see Kaba versus, you know, 17.
Easily.
That'd be really fun to watch. But what kind of frightens me here is Vegeta in a way, because seeing Vegeta and everything he's done, the question is, it's like, where does he stand in all this? Because he's the only person that Goku hasn't fought. You know, I mean, he doesn't need to because he knows where Vegeta stands, but at the same time, where does he stand in all this? We see him in next week's preview, and God knows what he's doing there. Maybe he actually finds out the truth. Maybe they all find out that, yeah, Goku's doomed us all, and maybe that's why he's so angry and he clenches his fist. Maybe he finds out that, yeah, Goku has just jeopardized everything, and it's all down to us to, you know, to defend our universe and whatever. Maybe that's why he's mad, or, you know, maybe it's something else. But like, where do you see him in all this in next week's episode? Like, do you see him, you know, confronting Goku about the whole situation, about maybe training or the tournament itself? Like, where do you see him next week?
Honestly, not yet. Maybe he might hear about it. I would say that maybe he hears something about it, and maybe he puts 2 and 2 together. Obviously, 17 put it together quite easily. 18, even though she kind of believed Goku, because he said 10 million Zenny, then he said 100 million Zenny. Yeah. So she has an idea, you know, her women's intuition, right? So Gohan already knows what's going on. 17 was easily able to figure out. Vegeta's not stupid. It was, sooner or later, it's going to come out. So maybe he hears something being mentioned between Beerus or Whis or something like that in the episode, but they don't really capitalize on that yet until he gets back, until Goku gets back from helping 17. I will say, though, pertaining to the thing that you just mentioned about Vegeta, we know, just like Vegeta mentioned about Goku has a really bad habit, right, of taking fights seriously early on. Right. So that's why Goku performs poorly early on, but when it comes to the finale, he goes all out, and that's what separates him from Vegeta. Vegeta performs really well early on, but then ends up getting trashed when it comes down to it in long fights. Right, exactly. So that's the main difference between the two. And at the end of the day, you're gonna have to look at it like, well, Goku has the Kaioken ultimately. So, but going back to it's like I said, I think maybe Vegeta might hear about it, but then we won't actually capitalize on that until maybe the next 2 episodes, I would say. But I think I would say it's a long shot, just saying theoretically, that they might save Vegeta finding out about it for last, or maybe him confronting Goku about it for last, and then we're gonna go into the tournament, and then it's gonna be fucking amazing. I mean,
I loved what 17 did, and I'm sure me and Emosh want to know from the community, because I mean, every single week we go back and we talk to you guys. So post your comments down below as to what you guys feel about 17 versus Goku, about next week's episode. For me, I'll be really honest, I'm not really having too many high hopes for those aliens. It seems like they're just throwing them in there just to throw them in there.
They're gonna get wrecked. Yeah, they're gonna get wrecked.
Same thing. Same thing with Wadagash. It's like it's nothing really major to me, at least. But if you guys feel differently, let us know down below. Thank you all for watching. Check out and subscribe to Emosh's channel, guys. I will link it down in the description. And again, if you guys are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe here as well. If you guys enjoyed it, leave a like. And if you guys did not enjoy this video, then I think I speak on behalf of Emosh as well. You guys can go on ahead and kiss our pearly white balls. Take it easy, guys. Peace.